Hi everybody, hi. Okay, so the tutorial thing on Canvas was not what I thought it was going to be. So I think I'm going to start using Zoom because I would like to be able to answer your questions. I've been to Zoom meetings, I've never hosted one before. So what I don't know is if my laptop's camera will be able to give you a good view of this stuff. So just have to bear with me with that. Thank you for being patient. Okay, so if you want to hit pause and write this in your notes, we're continuing with graphing parabolas, but now we're going to use it whenever the function is given in this format, where I don't have the binomials squared like I did in the other ones for the last two videos. So hit pause and go ahead and write. Okay, so first off, A, B, and C are just some numbers. They could be positive, negative. This could actually not even be. There could be zero. So that it looks much more complicated than it is. And I think you've had this before. You should have, but I don't know how long it's been for some of you. The vertex formula looks super confusing, but it's so not. Okay, this is the x value of the vertex. This is the y value. Remember, y equals f of x. Don't forget. Okay, so negative b over 2a, that's just a little bit of arithmetic. And then whatever value you get for that, you stick it in the function to get his y buddy. Just like you would to find any point on any graph. Stick a value in for x, see what the whole thing equals, and they're an ordered pair. Okay? After you do that, oh, also, if the a is positive, just like with the other format, if it's positive, your parabola opens upward. If it's negative, it opens downward. And then, once you do that and you plot your vertex, and you put your axis of symmetry, we're going to do again the next two x values over to the right, put them in the function, see what you get, and plot the points. Okay. So, I wonder if I can pause this. I'm going to pause this. Did that work? I don't know. Find out. Okay, so apparently the pause button didn't work. Okay. Alright. Oh, now I really screwed up. Okay. So this problem is given in this format. And so the coefficient of your x squared term, that's your a. Coefficient of your x to the first is your b. And your constant is your c. Now, when we start getting into some problems, a lot of times these two will be written differently when we're doing application problems. So it's important to remember when you're plucking out the a and the b, you don't need the c, it doesn't even show up in the formula. But when you pluck out your a and your b, the a is always the coefficient of the squared term. Okay, it doesn't matter which guy comes first. Okay, so to get the vertex, okay, a is equal to 4 and b is equal to 2. So to get the x value of the vertex, it's negative b. I'm going to write this, negative b over 2a. Okay, so that's just negative 2 over 2 times 4 is 8. Oh, I didn't mean to do this. Okay, well, whatever. Okay, so that's negative 1/4. Okay, now to get the y thing, you just find f at negative 1/4. If you want to, you can use a calculator. Either way. Important to remember, like I said in the other videos, when I put a negative value in, put parentheses around it. So I would have 4 times negative 1/4 squared plus 2 times negative 1/4 minus 3. So exponents come before multiplying, so don't hack away at those 4s. Exponent first. Negative times a negative is positive, so that's 1/16. Okay? Then negative times a positive is going to be negative, and I can reduce this. So that's just going to be negative 1/2, and then minus 3. Now I can reduce this. 4 goes in there, 1 goes into here, 4. So I have 1/4 minus 1/2 minus 3. Hey, let's use a calculator. Great thinking, Beth. 5 minus 5 minus 3 equals... I don't care about fractions or decimals, whatever you feel like doing. Okay, so for this one, your vertex is negative 1/4, or, well, one or the other. You don't want to mix, right? I don't want to use fractions and decimals. So I'll do negative 0.25 and negative 3.25. Okay? Or you could do negative 1/4 and negative 3 and 1/4. Doesn't matter. And this one, because A is positive, it's going to open up. Okay. Let me come up with a better problem. That wasn't too great. I try to avoid fractions, especially when I'm first teaching something to you. So, summer brain, I'm telling you what. Okay. 2a x Okay, trying to make it so it's not too horrendous to do. Okay, so here, remember, if there's not a coefficient written, there's an implied positive 1. So our A is 1, and our B is negative 4. And I don't need the C because it's not in the formula. Okay, so now you have to be careful when B is negative because you have a negative B over 2A. So we're going to have a negative of a negative over 2 times 1. So that gives me positive 4 over 2 is 2. So that's the x value of the vertex. Now to get the y value, just put this into the function. So we find f at 2. So we have 2 squared minus 4 times 2 plus 1. So that's 4 minus 8 plus 1. So that's negative 4 plus 1 is negative 3. Okay, that's reasonable. We'll graph this one. Okay, so our vertex is 2, negative 3, and since 1's positive, it's going to open up. Okay, so let's graph this bad boy. All right. Put the stuff that I'm going to have to use. I look and see what the vertex is and which direction it's going. Okay, so 2 from the origin, positive 2 in the x direction, negative 3 in the y direction. And then we put in our axis of symmetry. Remember, it's just a dashed line that's going to cut right through that vertex. Okay, so we need to get some other points. So this is 2, so we're going to find f of 3 and f of 4. Remember, we'll plot those points wherever they end up being, and then we'll do the mirror image points over here. Okay, so f of 3, oh, I erased my formula. Okay, it was 3 squared minus 4 times 3 plus 1, right? Yeah. Okay, so it's 9 minus 12 plus 1, so that's negative 3 plus 1 is negative 2. Okay. So, from the origin, when x is 3, y is negative 2. Okay? So, the symmetry is, if I go over one space, it's going to go up to -2. One space this direction goes up to -2 as well. And remember, that's not enough information. I want to get a little wider. Okay, so we're going to find f of 4. So 4 squared minus 4 times 4 plus 1. Well, that's an easy one. 16 minus 16 plus 1 equals 1. So that tells me when x is 4, y is 1. So from the origin, +4, +1. So 2 spaces to the right from my axis of symmetry, it jumps to 1. 2 spaces to the left will also jump up to 1. And that's enough. Now, some professors are going to make you do a whole lot more points, but it's fine. We're sketching. We're not being draftsmen. Okay? And you know, it's more so that you have an understanding and you remember how to graph, so that when we get into the heavy-duty calculus stuff, you'll remember hopefully how to plot some points and that kind of thing. Okay? Okay. Well, I'm going to run out of time. I can only do like 12 and a half minutes. That's, even though I have the expanded YouTube thing, it's the editing thing, and now I found out my cloud is filled again. So anyway, computer stuff, whatever. So I'm going to stop this, and I will do more.